Hey, what's up guys? It's Abbie Norml. Welcome to Street Emails number 4. Here we are in the Junction in Toronto, Ontario, where I will be living for the next few weeks, if not few months. This is actually where I grew up, very, very close to here, just over yonder. There are a bunch of apartment buildings near High Park Station, where those were the first buildings that my family and I moved to when we moved to Canada. Anyways, we've got a lovely storefront here. There's a skeleton, interesting chairs, and just kind of a nice warm lighting design. So just wanted to tell you a little bit about what's been going on and what will be going on with me in the next little bit. Exciting news. I want to say I got a day job, but I got a contract for a really awesome job. I'm going to be helping design a few rooms in a place called the West House, which is a day center for marginalized folks in downtown Toronto. The problem with it currently is that not only are many of the clients recently out of prison, but the space itself is very reminiscent of prison in its design. There's literal iron bars and sort of cage-like enclosures where people hang out. There's not too many plants. There's a really sort of ugly neon yellow color scheme. A lot of stuff being stored that shouldn't really store. So I'm going to help them on the design front, declutter a little, reorganize, paint, get some new furniture, make some new furniture, and there's also a wood shop room, which is not used right now, but hopefully we're going to get that up and running so that folks can do woodworking, welding, bike mechanics, all sorts of stuff. So I love working jobs like that or contracts like that because it's just everything that I love sort of piled into one cool gig that I get paid for. The lesson here, kids, is if you don't like your job, quit your job. If you don't have a job, make yourself a job. I basically got this job because I hang out at the day center a lot. And then because you can use computers there and stuff, and I don't have one. So I just kept coming to this day center until I realized that there was this cool other team of people called into the forward, also there making positive changes, and I basically asked them if I could work with them, and they said sure, why not, and then they offered me a gig. Funny enough, the organizer, Sarah, sort of the head leader, she's a Stanford grad, amazing international researcher, anthropologist, social worker, who's implemented programs in London, England, Vancouver. She herself is from Austin, Texas. How she got the gig is she was at a conference in Toronto and she was bored, so she asked where an interesting sort of place where real shit happens is, and somebody directed her to the center. So then she came in to hang out and suggested some changes, and that's sort of, she created this job for herself and for her team as well. So I think that's really inspiring, and I hope to be that kind of person in the future. I mean, I sort of am that person. I have been that person since I was about 21 is when I told myself that I wasn't ever gonna work another day job ever again. Lo and behold, I didn't. I worked a film internship not too far from here, but I quit it, and I quit it to write because I was doing music journalism at the time. A few things picked up, and my favorite supervisor just basically gave me $5 and was like, look girl, I'm not a writer, can't really do much for you that way, but go write, you need $5, here you go, you need them, buy yourself lunch, go be free. So that was 2013, 2012. So yeah, a good 3 to 4 years of just not having a day job, working on music, working on visual art, and working sort of fun contracts when I can. A few months in there in Montreal, I worked learning but also making stained glass murals. So that's a skill I know how to do. That's something I know how to do. That's something I know how to teach. So maybe get some stained glass pieces Right now we're sort of walking through the Junction. This is Dundas Street. There's my favorite nail salon. It has $10 manicures. There's the Purple Onion. I think that used to be a vegetarian restaurant. I remember when that restaurant, I was like 7, 8 years old. This used to be a really rough neighborhood, and that restaurant was like the only nice thing in the neighborhood. And I wondered why it was in such a poor neighborhood, but or how they were able to stay in business amongst all the horrible sort of stuff that went on here, and just like barred storefronts and then the Purple Onion. So that's stuff I used to wonder about as a kid. But you know, now it's a very nice neighborhood. A lot of artists. There's train tracks yonder. So if you see the little blue thing that I'm pointing at right now, that's a Christmas light, and it's made to look like a train. Right next to the Domino's to the right. We're gonna bring that up. I'm gonna focus the camera on that in a bit. So for that reason of getting this in, so I'm gonna be like intensely working on that for the next 2 weeks, and then after that maybe they do little mini grants too, where they're gonna give me, there's your train, it's cool, eh? They're gonna give me a little bit of money to implement a few of my own ideas for a positive change to the space. One thing I suggested was a community garden. I've lived in many a punk house where that has worked. Community garden, stained glass program, just like plants in general, just plants. Opening a coffee shop, or the other thing that I want to do is set up a, so you know how in libraries they have like a museum style display case thingy with like maybe historical artifacts or some rare books? Do one of those about history or cool artifacts of the building, because the St. Christopher House is a historical building. It's a beautiful building. It's an old bank that looks like it's out of like Harry Potter or something. It just looks like it's out of like that J.K. Rowling's England, right? It's also across the street from the site where the former cathedral and Big Bop was, which is an important punk rock goth music venue in Toronto. Now